All right, aloha and welcome to the Own the Outcome podcast. Today, well, I'm Tyler Devereaux first off, and today I'm here with Austin Rutherford, who is an absolute wealth of knowledge in the real estate space, the capital raising space, and man, we're excited to pick your mind, bro. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're out here in Florida as well, down in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yep. Been down here about 2.5 years now.
So, and you grew up, did you move from Ohio down here?
Yeah, straight from Ohio. People always ask me why, and my answer is always everything.
Hey, listen, man, right now in Ohio, it's kind of cold. Well, it's cold in Orlando where I'm at, but bro, Ohio right now, get out of here.
No, it's a different level. I just came back last week. I was there, and the sun hasn't been out for like 2 or 3 weeks. So just sunshine alone is a good reason.
Bro, yeah, it's crazy because I live in Maui and it's sunny and beautiful every day, bro. Like every
100%.
day. It
Yep.
just is. And so even, being out here in Orlando where it'll be a little bit chilly and some overcast, it's like even that has an impact. It's
Facts.
crazy.
Real.
But down in Fort Laud, Fort Laud's beautiful, man. I love that area. Um,
Agreed. 100%
yeah.
agreed.
So let's talk about your story. Let's get into it a little bit. Tell me about your background first, so people know a little bit about where you came up from, where where you started. I know you did your first deal in college, and we can kind of go from there where we want to take it.
Yeah, no, 100%. So my original dream, growing up, was to go to the NBA. I wanted to be a basketball player. I went to Arizona a year out of high school to a prep school to get better and try to get some college offers, D1 offers. And while I was out there, I just kind of fell out of love with the game of basketball. Read a book called Think and Grow Rich that turned
Mm.
me on to the idea of passive income, which led me to real estate. I just kind of got, immersed in it and fell in love with the game of real estate at that point. So bought my first duplex at 20, flipped my first house at 22, and I've been doing it for the last 7, 8 years ever since then.
Bro, that's awesome. But be honest, first, who's your favorite basketball player?
So growing up, it was Steve Nash, and now I think LeBron's a killer.
Yeah. Oh, bro, being from Ohio, it's almost if you don't say that, they'll disown you.
100%.
Yeah, man, I can see like you liking like a Jason Kidd or Steve Nash
Yeah,
for sure though. Like I can like yeah, Steve
for
Nash is a
sure.
stud. Okay,
Uh,
so in college, did you know anybody who was investing in real estate, or was it just literally the book that you're like, man, I got to do this?
Yeah, so not in high school, but when I went to Arizona to play basketball out there, I don't know how I ended up with the book in my hand. I wish I remembered who gave it to me. But one of the players on the team, their dad knew someone that was in commercial real estate, so long chain to get there, and ended up meeting with the guy for like an hour, just talking about real estate and stuff. That wasn't like the ultimate decision thing. But he had a nice office, he had a nice car, and I was like, all right, like this is possible. This is real.
Bro, that's what I tell you. It's funny, man. I One of my best buddies, his name is Brady Nord. This is before I ever even thought about real estate at all, but it's funny how you tie these memories back. I remember going on a trip to Cabo with my buddy and his dad, and I was sitting shotgun, and we stopped by the bank before going to the airport, and he deposits a check. And so like he opens up his like old school Franklin and Covey planner or whatever, and pulls out a check that was a mid six figure check, and I had never in my life seen a check like that. I
Yeah,
was like, oh shit. So I'm like, so what do you do? You know, how did you get into it? And it was commercial real estate. And
100%.
yeah, so it just opened my eyes to and even I would say even at a subconscious level of what was possible because I knew nobody that did that and didn't even know what commercial real estate meant. But what's crazy is then years down the road when I hear about commercial real estate, it's like my mind peaks. It's like mid six figure checks. Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fun.
it's like just being able to see it is huge, right? Like I was valeting cars. So after I went to Arizona to play basketball for a year, I moved back to Ohio. I got a valet job just to try to make some money in the meantime. And every time like somebody pulled up in a nice car, I was curious. I was like, hey, like, welcome to the Hilton, blah, blah, blah. By the way, what do you do? And
Yeah.
almost every single person said real estate. And there's obviously a lot of different aspects of real estate, but like that's a sign, right? So it just continuously like real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. And it turned into something that, took a hold on and been building it ever since.
You're so right though. Like what you just said, You got to see it. Seeing it is so powerful. You know, it's so powerful. I love that. I don't know why I haven't thought about that. You go ahead. You're gonna say something, but
No, and that's across the board. Like, there's law of exposure. Once you're exposed, you can never be unexposed. So I remember like the first time I got on a yacht, like 100 foot, like a yacht. And I walked on that thing, I was like, people really live like, ironically, it was in Cabo. I was like, people really like live like this. And
mm,
then, once I did it, I've done it, 10, 20 times since then, right? I remember the first time I got on a private jet. It wasn't mine. A buddy invited me on. And I walked on, I'm like, bro, this is possible. Like, this is crazy. And again, since then I've done it multiple times. And it's like once you get a taste of something, it's like when I got my car, I went and sat in the car. I would walk through open houses of $1 million houses that I could had no business affording, couldn't
yeah.
even like no business being there. But it's like once you like can taste something, it just I don't know, it puts a different drive in people.
Yeah, 100% does. And I think that that's actually a key hack to the journey is putting yourself in a position to taste it. Like taste the dream, whether that's seeing a car at a valet, whether that's walking through open houses. Because what I believe that does, that expands your mind and enhances your belief that, okay, it's possible. One of my favorite things to do, bro, is expose people to things, is
Yep.
expose people to what's possible. And I know you do too, because, well, you have a couple books. In fact, one of your books is called Valet to Millionaire, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
let's talk about that book, man. Valet to Millionaire.
Yeah, so it's the titles for Valet to Millionaire, and the subtitles the 10 things they don't teach you to become rich. And they is like, your parents, your teachers, your principals, everybody in society for the most part, the 99% of people. And they teach you go to college, get a good degree, get good grades, put money into the retirement account, all these things that, they say that because they think that's what's best for you. But in all reality, that's not what's best for you. But they're not trying to hurt you because they genuinely feel like that's the right thing. And so it's the 10 things they don't teach you, right? And it's all mindset. Because at the end of the day, like anything we want to learn, literally you can I go to Google, YouTube all the time. I'm like, how do I do blank? Done. Now I learned it. So the information is there. It's the mindset that people lack. So it talks about things like, surrounding yourself with the right people, saying your daily affirmations to build confidence within yourself, investing into the future instead of right now, right? So it's the mindset that changes the game for people. So that was the first book, wrote that, I don't even know now, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's essentially what helped me get to the point that I was at that time. And it's, vastly mindset.
Yeah, because you're right though. It is like we live in this information technology or information society where it's everywhere, dude. It's everywhere. So what stops people from executing?
This
Yeah,
thing is
it's in your pocket all day, every day, right?
100
That's
your
it.
cell phone. It's crazy.
Yeah. What stops people from executing is, dude, it's the mindset. And you talk about overcoming limiting beliefs in there, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So what limiting beliefs did you have coming up and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so there's three that kind of jumped to my head immediately. I might not remember all three as I explain these, but the first one, networking and knowing the right people is extremely impactful. So going to networking events was something I did as much as humanly possible. I'd go 2, 3, 4, 5 a week just to get out there and meet people and learn. And when I was starting out, like I hated going to those things. Like I remember I would drive to them and then walk in the door, and then like everybody would kind of like look at like who's walking in the door, and then I would turn around and leave and drive home. Like
Mm,
I hated it because it made me feel so uncomfortable. So one of my daily affirmations, again, the affirmations is things you tell yourself to support your negative beliefs. So one of my daily affirmations is I know I bring value in any room and I carry my shoulders high when I walk in. And I said
mm,
that enough times, and I walk into any room and I feel good about it. So, that was one huge one because if you don't ever talk and tell people what you're doing or what opportunities you have, like you'll never get those things, right? The other one, social media. Social media has changed my life. I'm sure it's changed yours as well. Like that's why we're here. But it is, if you really think about it, it's like it's arguably the most impactful, important thing that somebody can do as a business owner to grow, right? And at the beginning, like, I just had all these negative beliefs about, posting on social media. I was scared. I was fearful. People were going to hate on me. And I got a lot of negativity early on. But when you understand the power of it, the positives massively outweigh the negatives. And then the last one is money. Growing up, nobody ever talked about money. I have this like very vivid memory. It's like when you go out to, to eat with friends when we were young in a car, and then, one of the parents is driving. And then they drive to the house to drop the kid off at the parents' house. And then the parents come outside and then they like like hide handing money to like pay back for like what somebody spent for their kid. It
Mm.
was like this thing that like nobody ever talks about. Um and like it wasn't ever bad, but it was just like weird. Like it was this thing that nobody talked about. And when you don't talk about money, money doesn't come into your life. And I talk about money to everybody. Like when you talk with real people that are like doing something, asking somebody how much they make or what were the numbers on that deal is a very normal conversation.
Yep.
But to anybody else in the world, it's like, oh my God, you're asking me how much I make? Why would I tell you that? And again, if you don't talk about it, it's never going to come into your life. So those are a few kind of off the top of the head.
So good, bro. Those are so good. And I want to drill in on the last one because it's funny. I just had this conversation with a team member of mine who I love, dude. Like, she's one of my favorites. But I had talked about in a training that I did that I just took a family vacation, and it was just in passing that family vacation was a 50 grand trip. And the conversation was like, man, I think it rubbed the wrong way, is what it did. It
Yeah.
was like, can I be successful without being money hungry? And I was like, well, hold on, what does money hungry mean to you?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And it's like, it's almost like this pride around being poor. Like, I don't need money. And like, literally, we get into this point of like, well, I want to do this. And it's not for the money. I was like, oh, yeah, heaven forbid you make money for the value that you put into the world. It's like, that's not a negative thing. And the more that you just become comfortable about it, the more you talk about it, it is so true. I think that that's one of the things that I grew the most when I got into commercial real estate because the numbers are huge.
Yep.
Just getting exposed to the numbers were like, holy shit, you
Yep.
know? Yeah. So, yeah.
100%. I mean, that's the thing about real estate. I've done a lot in the single family space, and I'm just kind of starting to venture into the larger multifamily, commercial, industrial, warehouse, et cetera. And I was always scared because the numbers were bigger, right? But when you like finally after doing it now, it's like, bro, it's literally the same exact thing. It just has more zeros on it. So yes,
Mm,
you have to borrow more money, but there's
yeah.
more cash flow, there's more profit, there's more equity. Like it's the same play, it's just got more zeros on the end of it. So but again, that goes back to fear. I didn't want to do it because like I didn't know it, I didn't understand it, I was comfortable, I didn't want to grow. And at all points in life, like speaking for myself right now, like there's every single day, like I'm breaking through different self-limiting beliefs. I say
Mm,
people can't control the thoughts that come into their head, but they can control their reaction to those thoughts. Everybody has
mm,
negative things that jump into their head at some point during the day, but it's how long do you let it fester? Does it sit there for a second, a minute, a day, a month, a year, or a lifetime? Like I try to get it out immediately. And yes, there's times where it might be there for a day or something, but like the faster you can get rid of that, the faster you're going to be able to get to where you want to be.
yeah, bro. I think that what you just said is probably one of the most impactful things that I've heard since I've been doing the interviews for this show. And I've interviewed a bunch of people. And it's that everyone has limiting beliefs, but it's how long do you let it sit there? Like
100%.
the most successful, confident, happy people that I've ever met are able to correct it as fast as possible. And then what's crazy is, I have a mental training coach. His name's Dallas Pruitt. And Dallas, one of my favorite principles that he's taught me is he calls it catch yourself in error-ridden thinking.
Yeah.
And then not just to catch it, but then when you correct it, like literally to celebrate the fact that you caught it, to not beat yourself up like, oh my God, I'm having these beliefs. I'm such a, weak minded, douche. It's like, no, you caught it. Like, how bitching is that? Now correct it. And what's the opposite? What's the direction you want to go? And then reframe it, you know?
100%. Ed Milet said something. It's very similar to that, but he's like he mentally takes a thought that it's like, hey, I caught it, and I tell myself scratch, and you scratch it out, and then the next time you
Mm,
scratch it out, and then scratch it out, and scratch, and then eventually it's gone. So it's like a mental thought process of scratching whatever that negative thought process was. But so I agree 100%.
it's interesting that you point that out, bro, because I just did a Tony Robbins event, and this was massive for me because I'm big in visualization, and Ed actually is I'm part of Arate, which is Ed's group,
Yep.
and he's talking about visualization and how you bring it farther and closer and all these kind of things. But what Tony said, and so I've been practicing those things, and it's been phenomenal for me. But what Tony, like, when I go to these events, bro, I'm looking for like this one thing. It's not this life changing thing. It's just one thing that I can implement that if I actually implement it, it will actually be life changing.
Yep.
And one of the things for me is he said this limiting belief, take it, see it, and then like literally throw it away. And I had never done it that way.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as scratching it. It's like you're out and it's throwing it away. And it's like, okay. Because what I would do, I will be honest with you, what I used to do is I would throw it behind me. I know this sounds funny to some people, but I would throw it behind me. But then subconsciously, I'm like, shit, that motherfucker might catch me, might get me. This is
No,
funny.
I love it. I agree. The visualization of those things. I like the trash can. I've never heard that, but just seeing it gone
Yeah,
is huge.
huge, bro, huge. So let's talk about what you've done because you've done some amazing things. Like you did your first deal in college, and tell me what you made on your first deal.
Yeah, so it's the only deal I've ever bought that way, and I'll never do it again. But I just bought a turnkey rental property. So it
Mm,
was just a cash flowing rental that I put 20% down and just it was cash flowing the day. I think I was making like without assuming no vacancies and no repairs, which as we know that always doesn't happen, but it would have netted like $1,000-ish a month. And I
mm,
thought I was balling. I was like, I got an extra 1,000 a month. This is great. And
yeah.
but I realized like I put all my money at the time down as a down payment. At 20 years old, I had like $35,000 saved, and I put it all down. And I was like, crap. If I want to buy more rental properties, I need to make more money because that took me 20 years to buy one rental property.
Mm,
And that I got licensed after that because my realtor made like 7 grand, 8 grand in commissions. So I was like, let me get my license so I can do that. Hated it, and then got into flipping houses using other people's money. So I kind of say like I had two starts. Like that one
yep.
was just kind of like a turnkey rental price. It's investing, but it's not like active investing. And then the other side to it, by the time I decided, hey, I want to start flipping houses, I actually paid a mentor $25,000. I pulled out my credit card, new credit cards, maxed them out the next day. And like everybody, thought you're going to get rich overnight. And from that day to the day I actually made money on the active investing side, it took 16 months. So it was 16 months until I sold my first flip, 10 months to buy it, 6 months to buy, renovate, and sell it. And on that sale, after paying everybody off, lenders, everything, I netted $107,000 4 days after my 22nd birthday. And
Hey.
the caveat, I invested literally every single penny back into the business. I didn't go on
Mm,
vacation. I didn't go to dinner. I didn't go buy a pair of sneakers. I went back to college taking 15 credit hours. I went back to valeting cars working 50 hours a week. And then, I sold a house. I flipped another house about 90 days later, made 50,000. So I was 150,000 net positive. And then I quit. I was like, all right, this is real. This isn't a fluke. And then went
yeah.
all in real estate.
Oh, there's so much to unpack there. So let's talk about the first 16 months because that first 16 months, what was your mindset going through that?
Yeah, so funny. I actually made a video this morning and sent it to my team to chop it up. And during the 16 months, that's a long time. I
Yep.
was
Yep.
25 grand on a credit card, going to college, working 50 hours a week, actively making offers on houses every single day. I was a licensed realtor. So I wasn't like doing real estate, but not doing real estate. Like I was actually doing real estate, just didn't have any success at it. And it sucked. Like 16 months is a long, long time.
Yeah.
After doing a couple deals, I was talking to one of my buddies, still really good friend today, but he was like, bro, you told us that you were working all the time, but you were broke. Like we never understood it. Like it didn't make any sense. Like we just
Yeah.
stopped inviting you places because you just kept telling us no. And like I get it. Like if you get no, 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 like you're gonna stop asking people. But like it was tough. It was dark times. It was a struggle. There was again, I had a mortgage that I had to pay. If it went vacant, I was net negative on that. I was putting every single penny I had back into the marketing side of the real estate. Like I had $100 in my bank account at times. And it was tough. But
Yeah.
the thing about real estate is like it's not an if game, it's a win game. So it's
Mm.
not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. It will happen as long as you take the right actions long enough. Some people get lucky and do a deal in the first week or month. Other people like me take 16 months.
But bro, man, it's not if, it's when, as long as you take enough actions for a long enough time. That's literally, bro, that's the quote. Because that's what it is. That's so good though. That's what it is. And those people that go out there, it's all mentality, right? Somebody who goes out there and does their first deal right away, well, that person's gonna have struggles eventually. And those struggles are what shape you into making sure that you continue to take the actions long enough because it changes you, dude. When you overcome that, like you do those deals and 16 months later, and then you do another one, then it's like, yeah, I'm that dude, you know? I'm that dude. That's
For
so
sure.
good. So what makes you different? Okay, like the title of the podcast is the Own the Outcome podcast. And
Yeah.
I would love two questions. Number one, what is that? What would you say that means to you to own the outcome? And then number two, why do you feel like you were able to last 16 months when some people, bro, they don't last 6 days, 16 days, whatever. What makes
100%.
you different?
Yeah, I mean, so own the outcome to me is like take ownership of everything, the successes and the failures. You know, everything comes back to you. It's like, did you take the right actions? Did you put the right work in? Did you have a cheat meal? Did you, cheat on your spouse? Like there's an action that it goes back to, and you have to own that. Even if it wasn't your fault, you hired the wrong person. Like it always comes back to you, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on that. And I love the name of the podcast
Yes.
for that reason. And kind of what makes me different to wrap it back with what I said, where I made a piece of content and sent it out to my team today. I forget exactly what, but it was something along the lines of like in life, the problem with people is like in life, they look for reasons to support their negative decisions. So
Mm,
if they fail in business, it supports the fact that they think they're a failure or that they're broke or that they can't support their family. Or if they walk by the mirror and they don't like how they look in the mirror, it supports the fact that they think that they're unhealthy, right? Or they're out with friends and they say some stupid thing that has no relevance, but it supports whatever you think, and you're like, yes, I agree, and it supports that negative thought
mm,
process. That's how 99% of the world 99.9% of the world operates. Is they look for reasons to support the negative thought process. So during that 16 months, there was a million reasons for me to quit.
yeah.
1000%, no questions asked. But the way that I've reframed the question, and this is what people need to do that actually want to grow, is they need to look for things that support the positive side of things. So during that 16 months, yes, there was some positive in there. I got on a call with the seller. I actually had a seller call me. That's a win. Like I never had a
Yeah.
seller call me, but my phone actually rang. Cool. This is possible. You put out marketing, you get leads. Done. Problem solved.
Mm,
Then, I almost got a deal. I actually put a house under contract. I was like, yo, it got inspected. It was terrible. Backed out the next day because of my inspection contingency. But again, it's like, yo, I'm the next step closer. This is a win. Like, this is going to get me to where I want to go. So throughout that entire process and in my entire life, I always look for things that support my positive decision-making process and not the negative side. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's like negativity comes in your mind every single day. Yes, probably every hour of every day. But like
mhm.
you got to get rid of it because if you sit there and dwell on it and let it support your negative thoughts, that's where you're going to keep going is down the negative route.
Man, that is a phenomenal answer, bro. And I asked that question really for, those individuals who are listening, but I think your answer was actually for me, bro, because that's so good, man. I'll tell you what what I heard you say was being success conscious instead of failure conscious.
100%.
And my thought process around it was also that you're not just removing the negative thought, you're literally replacing it with a success thought.
For sure.
And celebrating those small little wins along the way are what lead to big ass wins, you know?
100%. Like
Yeah.
we hear it all the time. It's like the journey that everybody remembers. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Because once you get what you want, it's like, not what you thought it was going to be. Like
Yeah.
that's a real
Yeah.
thing. And like, yes, I get it. Everybody wants to have that experience. I did too. Like go win and go get whatever that goal is. But like enjoy the process because I promise you that's what is memorable and that's what you're going to go back to. Because like people like us that like to win and succeed and hustle, like that we can't stop. I don't know. Again,
No.
speaking for myself, I can't turn it off.
No. Yeah. Me neither. Either can I. And I am. It's funny because I'm actually fairly decent at celebrating the small stuff, but the big things I actually don't celebrate. And,
Yeah.
and I actually wonder if it's a hack because I mean, celebrating is important, but I literally do celebrate the small things. But like the big things, like think about this. One of the things you said that resonated as well. You said you made this money, your first deal, your first flip. You make that money, but you didn't celebrate. You didn't quit your job. You didn't go blow it. You reinvested into the business. You know what that shows me? Faith,
Yeah.
dedication, knowing that this is big. This might be the biggest thing that I've ever achieved, but it won't be the biggest thing that I ever achieve. That's
uh,
for.
Facts. 100%. Like
That,
it's crazy. Like people have that break and then they go blow it and then they got to start all over again. Like
yeah.
I knew 100 grand. Like, could it change my moment? 100%. Absolutely, it could. Could it change my life? There's no chance on earth 100 grand changes
Yeah.
somebody's life long term.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Oh yeah. No. No.
So like, I knew like how big my goals were, and like that was just a drop in the bucket. So I agree with you. It's like
Mm,
it's the balance of the celebrating, but not to like a deficit of yourself.
yep. You knew what your goals were. You knew what the outcome was. So if you know what your goals are, I think that's one of the problems too. you set these goals, but then sometimes you hit your goals quicker than you maybe thought, or you actually achieve it and you're like, well, shit, I haven't re-upped my goal. And if you catch that, that's a problem. You have to be elevating your company's called Elevate. You have to be elevating your goals all the time, or else, because if you hit them, whew, before you've elevated, man, that's a problem. So let's talk about your event, by the way, because you have an event coming up here by the time this launches, it'll be in a few weeks probably, and it's in Florida. Let's talk about your event.
Yeah, South Florida, March 28th and 29th. We're going to bring some people down to learn the game of real estate. Learn how to. My success has been a lot to how to raise private money. So I've raised probably 25, $30 million in my career.
Mm.
So all my deals are done with OPM. So we're going to be talking about raising money, how to structure deals. If you're active in real estate, there's no reason you should be paying taxes. How are you able to offset that stuff through building wealth and owning rental properties? So we're going to be talking all things real estate and how I've been able to build my business through social media, because we already talked about that. Our social media is crazy. So, encourage some people to take that step of faith into the social media world as well.
Love it, dude. Those topics are massive. So I want to drill home on some of those. We'll put the link to where they can access it in the show notes. But
Perfect.
y'all, if you're in Florida or in the real estate space, period, you should hit up his event. I want you to understand what Austin just said. Austin just said he's raised. This is a dude who used to be scared of networking, so scared of networking that he would walk in the door and then walk his ass out of the door.
Yep.
Who's now raised 20 to 30 million.
Yep.
Like, there is a mindset behind that. There is something behind that. And so it's a great person to freaking learn from. And there's also a system behind it, right?
Yep.
So if you were to break down in a simplified manner what it's taken to raise 20, 30 million, what does it come down to?
I think it all pivots on one thing. And early on in my career, I was on the opposite side of this thing, which is when you're raising money for a deal and you don't understand the power of private money lending and what it can do and help people, you feel like you're asking somebody. So it's like asking someone for a favor, asking someone to believe in me, asking someone to believe in me. Like it's coming from an ask. And when you're in negotiation and you don't have any leverage, like you're down here and you almost never win. And you
Yeah.
have to change your mindset from an ask of someone to believe or invest or trust you to giving somebody an opportunity of a lifetime. And yes, it's mutually beneficial, obviously, but like I genuinely believe like I'm giving somebody an opportunity of a lifetime to invest with me. And I'm doing everybody that I meet in this world, everybody that I come across, I'm doing them a disservice by not presenting them the opportunity to invest with me. Because I've gotten the phone calls from people crying, thanking me for allowing them to retire earlier, or thanking me that the market just crashed 30%, they haven't lost a penny, or thanking me that they're able to enjoy retirement at another level because I've given them the opportunity to invest with me. And like you have to get that through your head. And then obviously you need to understand private money, like that's a given. But once you believe that, going out and talking to people becomes a million times easier. And kind of the way I like paint the picture so people can get that thought process, this is how most people retire or plan for retirement. They work until they're 65 and they save up, let's say $1 million, and then they plan to invest it conservatively and, spend money every year until they're 85. And hopefully that they have enough money before they die. And then when they die, they have zero. Like that's people's planning process, save up,
Yep.
spend until they die. That's like majority of the world, right? The opportunity that we have as real estate investors is to have those people kind of do the same process, save up $1 million, whatever it is, but instead of paying it off until they die and hopefully having enough money, and if they run out, they got to borrow or go get another job and not being able to give their kids anything, the alternative is they can take that $1 million, invested with somebody like us, at 10%, whatever the number is, and you can pay them $100,000 a year or whatever the number is forever. They'll never run out of
Mhm.
money. And when they die, they'll give their kids $1 million inheritance. And by the way, that 100 grand a year is, what they would have been spending maybe 60, 70, 80 grand. So you're giving them a better lifestyle. You're giving them better retirement. You're allowing them to give an inheritance to their kid. Like that's the power that you have by talking to these people. So when you get that through your head, it's like, I genuinely believe I have to talk to people and give the talk, at least present the opportunity to them.
Bro, so good, man. And the visual you just created is I unpack so much of this because you believed that before. Now it's easier to believe, and that belief just continues to compound because you've seen it, you've had those people reach out, but you had to create that belief and that vision in order for it to happen.
Yeah.
And think about the visual that you created. Most people save, retire, and then see it dwindle. Whereas what you can provide is somebody saves, retire, invest, and then that amount, it not only do they not see it going down, they live off the cash flow. And then
Yep.
instead of seeing it going down, dude, they're actually seeing that increase.
Agreed.
What that provides somebody peace of mind wise through retirement is invaluable, bro. It's
100%.
invaluable. And for me, raising capital, because I've raised a bunch of capital as well. And I literally viewed myself in the beginning as this beggar looking for a handout. And there was this shift for me. And it was the shift for me was this, it was a doctor from my wife's practice who invested. And I sent him his first distribution. It was $2,000.
Uh-huh.
Nothing crazy, dude. He invested 100 grand at first quarter, sent him 2 grand. And he had wrote this whole email of like, thank you so much. Didn't even know this is possible. I've always wanted to acquire real estate, but didn't have the time. And I make good money, but I don't make money if I don't work.
Yeah.
And then he like attached, he did, bro, he even attached a selfie with him and his check. And it's like, literally, I remember sitting in my office and being like, holy shit, man, what we do. I'm not a beggar with my hand out. Like this is valuable. And I became obsessed with it. And so
Agreed.
if you want to raise more capital, I believe what you just said, Austin, is one of the most critical components of it is why would somebody want to invest with you? How are you a blessing? You define that, dude.
It's game over. And
It's
like,
game over.
the deeper you get into it, the more you understand it, the more people you can help. Like I was having a conversation with somebody, and I'm going to butcher these numbers, but they had like 300 grand in an annuity or something like that. And, they were getting paid 1,500, 2 grand a month until they die. And then the money disappears. So if you take 300 grand at 1,500 a month, I'm not the best at 3 times 6, 18 grand is what they're getting paid every year. 300 grand at 10% is $30,000 a year. And when they die, they lose the $300,000 annuity. So I was talking to them about this, and I was like, why don't you just cash it out and lend it? And they're like, oh, how do you do that? I'm like, well, if you cash it out, you can take the 300 grand in cash today, lend it at 10%, make $30,000 a year, which is almost double what you're making currently. And you get to keep the 300 grand forever and give it to your kids. And they cashed out their annuity and started investing money. So like the more you understand, like that's helping somebody. I just doubled their cash flow and gave them an extra 300 grand to give to their inherited to their kids. Like, I don't know. You can see my emotion. I love talking about this stuff.
You can see your emotion though, and they feel it too. Like people feel your intention, they feel your emotion, they feel your passion, they feel you genuinely get excited about helping other people.
For sure.
Bro, which is why you have an event coming up, which is why the Elevate is your education program. Like it's your coaching program, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And think about it. People will say, I have an education program. And I bring this up, dude, because I literally just, my family like drove me to the office today. My wife's car's in the shop. And I was going through, do you remember, I think it was on Jimmy Fallon where they would do mean tweets where they would read me. Okay. I'm like, babe, just scroll through my socials. Like, because what my team will do is they'll screenshot them and send them to me.
Yep.
And because I want to see him, bro. I want to see him because I'll then make videos about him. And I was like, just read through some of these things, And so she reads through, and it's like these people that are coming at you in your messages. It's like, dude, that shit is funny when you really think about what it is because they don't know what they don't know. That stuff doesn't deflate me. That stuff elevates me. Why? And what they're saying about the education side, they're like, if you're making money, why are you teaching? And it's like, because I'm making money.
Yeah.
It's like, I have learned something that has absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. If I don't share that, I'm an asshole. Like, who doesn't share that?
100%.
And also, how does it feel? We just talked about how does it feel to like let somebody taste it, show somebody, enhance their view of what's possible. There's few things in my life that are more enjoyable than that,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, anytime, like it's everything comes down to the experience. So it's like, what experience are you giving people? That's what they're going to remember. Like they're not going to remember what he said or she said, or, they're going to remember how they felt, which is the experience behind it. I'm telling you, like the first time it was a mastermind, I got on this 100-foot yacht. I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Or jumped on the jet. Like it gave an experience unmatched to anything else, and it inspired me more than anything else ever could have.
Uh, and it's harder to get those as you go, you know. But I believe money is a tool
Yep.
to literally help me at this point continue to do that. Like I went to Andrew Frisella's house out in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Like his garage, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but and I'm not even really a car guy. Don't get me wrong, I love cars, but like that wouldn't be necessarily my dream. But it's like 60 million of cars, the most unbelievable cars. And I asked, but I didn't know how much. So I literally asked Andy, I was like, bro, how much, how much are in cars? Because I would have no idea. And he's like,
Yeah.
it's about 60 million. And I was like,
That's
man, that's
crazy.
incredible. He's like, no, no, no. What's incredible is that the ideas and the things that have been created in this room from the energy that those provide is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. And bro, I believe that to my core.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
yeah, I remember leaving there, going back home, and just be like, man, my belief in what's possible is hands. My like our tagline as an education company is think bigger. Well,
Yep.
man, I, I'm so grateful for people that teach me how to think bigger. You know? Yeah.
I, that it's like, so one thing is like teaching real estate, right? Like the how to's. The other thing again is the mindset behind it. And to me, that's where the growth has really come from. And it's
Yeah.
from people pushing me to grow, to think bigger, to get outside my comfort zone. Getting on social media wasn't my idea. It was one of my mentors. Hiring a team wasn't my idea. I was hard headed. It was one of my mentors. Paying somebody. Like those are all
Mm.
extremely uncomfortable things to go through as an individual, but it's because somebody had my best interest in mind that was looking out for me and pushing me past my comfort zone to be able to grow. So it's like, yes, 100%.
I'm gonna ask you a question on the social media side. And I want you to tell me if this is the same for you or not. And I've never said this. I've literally never said this or even thought about it until what you mentioned. You said the three limiting beliefs, and one was social media,
Mhm.
but the one before that was your limiting beliefs, and you started talking about your affirmations.
Yep.
So this is what made me think of it. I could scroll through my social media right now, and I know yours because I did a deep dive on yours. I stalked the shit out of your social media. It's like I can scroll through there and I'd be like, man, it's me talking about real estate, talking about mindset, talking about success, talking about for hours and hours and hours. Do you know what that does? It enhances my belief. It's like,
Yep.
actually, man, those moments where as silly as this is, but those moments where it's like, am I, can I, will I go back and like, hell yeah, I can. Hell yeah, I will. You know what I mean? Do you do that as well?
No, 100%. Like it's, again, we go through different emotions as entrepreneurs. So like you might be down today and you can use that to bounce back up. I love looking at that, watching YouTube videos. I journal a lot. So, it'd be like I'll find a journal, from I just found a journal from the first year of business. And like one of my year end goals, like the big, goals this year. One was like I made a life-changing decision to become a businessman. And it's like it's crazy to like think that that's how we used to think and how far we've come. And like there's other like there's some more positive things in there that I think about now. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And it changed my thought process immediately. So being able to have that's the cool thing about like documenting, and social media is an amazing way to document. Journals another way. But like when you document the journey, it can exponentially grow. And people always talk about like legacy. What cooler way is there to be like for someone that your kids to be able to grow up and see, you all day talking about positivity, growth, winning, loving, like there's no better thing feeling in the world out there.
Ah, that's so true, bro. I love how you tie into the kids aspect because I do think about that all the time. Like, hey, man, at one point when I pass, because I think about I contemplate my mortality all the time.
Nope.
And when I pass, it's like, and I journal as well. But are they going to go and read through the journals? Well, you bet their ass they will. And they'll also scroll through my social and be like, man, dad was a positive, caring, like dude who freaking pursued stuff, you know,
100%.
pursue and attacked the search. Go ahead. Yeah.
Now, one other thing that I've done, and just if anybody wants to do it, but I think about the same thing potentially. It's going to happen to all of us at some point in life. And I've written letters, handwritten letters to all the people that I love, and it's in my trust, and it'll get spread if anything happens. So being able to leave somebody with something like, damn, I'm about to get emotional. Like being able to like do that beyond the grave, is powerful. You know, another thing I've done is I've hired a third party to interview my parents and my grandparents, and just ask them, you know, very thorough questions like, hey, what was it like growing up? You know, what was one thing you always wanted to do? What are you most proud of, et cetera? And just being able to have, like, I watched it after it was done. I didn't want to do it myself because I would have started crying. But like having that stuff forever. And again, like when my kids grow up and maybe they won't know their grandparents, hopefully they will. But if not, like you just got to play a video and it's right there. So documentation is huge.
I'm still in that idea, man. I love that idea so much. I think my
100%.
my parents, obviously I love them, and then but I look at my grandpa, and my grandpa, I love him so much. He's played a huge role in my life,
Yeah.
and still does to this day.
Yeah.
And but I agree, and I've thought many times about interviewing him. But I love the idea of having a third party do it because they would do better, And then I love that. I'm totally still in that idea. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
yeah. Can I ask? I know we're getting close on time, but I want to ask you a question. So, all the successes that you've seen, all the things that you've achieved, all the things that you've done, the mindset that you've grown, like, what are challenges that you're facing right now or recently? And because I think a lot of people don't, I just think that people don't talk about that. And that's what I wanted to really talk about on this show is no matter what level you're at, honestly, I actually believe the challenges get bigger. They just get bigger, but you get stronger. Is there a challenge that you're facing or that have you recently faced? And how was your journey of overcoming that different than it was in the beginning? Or was it the same?
Yeah, I something I'm going through right now, and I haven't overcame it yet. But it's hiring. You know, I'm building an amazing team. You know, I've had great team members at different times throughout my journey. And you know, for different reasons, we parted amicably. Everything was good. But like I've had a struggle hiring amazing people. So at the beginning, like I was just like, their problem, it's their problem, it's their problem, it's their problem. And then like if the same thing continues to happen, it's usually not a them problem, it's a you problem.
Mm,
So, you know, I've been looking inside and like studying, you know, how to lead, how to become a better leader, how to set up the proper SOPs, how to get people the right training when they come on board, you know, doing all these things to make sure that people can be successful when they come on. So that's something currently in the process of. But it like you can't win without it. Somebody put it to me, it was like, what's the difference between the Super Bowl winning team and every other team? And people are like, you know, the coach, you know, all these different things. But the really difference is the players that are on the field. They got better
mm.
players. They perform better. And that goes back to your team. Like you can't absolutely crush it with not an amazing team. So it's something that's one of my big focuses for sure.
I love it. And but you think about what your process was to overcome it. That's the epitome of owning the outcome. It's what's the problem? Well, it's not them. It's like, because that doesn't get you anywhere. Then you just become the victim of circumstance. It's how can I become a better leader? How can I weaponize them more? How can I set them up? How can I incentivize?
Yep.
That's owning the outcome, you know?
100%. Even yes, a perfect example.
Yeah. Which mine right now, I'll tell you, I haven't told anybody this. I literally haven't told anybody this,
Yeah.
but mine right now, I believe in abundance and I believe in seeing the best in people. I believe that like the minute you stop seeing the best in people and you lose your belief in people is game over, man.
Yep.
So I just believe in this. But man, that was easy in the beginning because I had nothing to like literally I didn't have much to give.
Yeah.
Now this, you get burnt a couple times and it starts to kind of jade you a little bit of like, shit, man, some people are just out for their own thing. So the challenging belief right now for me is that how do I maintain abundance? How do I maintain a belief, but still protect?
Yeah.
And, I'm figuring that side out. I'm figuring that side out, but I'll tell you where the answer lies right here. It
Yeah.
doesn't lie in anybody else. Like people are amazing. Like, dude, people are amazing. I just believe people don't want to be negative. People don't want to be deceptive. People don't want, a lot of times they don't even realize what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if they don't have but I'll tell you what people love is direction,
Yeah.
guidance, leadership, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's real what you said. That's another struggle I'm going through now that you mention it when I hear you say it. Because like I mean, business things happen. And it's like when you're a kind, genuine, caring individual, like you want to do that, but you don't want to do it at the detriment to yourself either. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, right now in society, there's a lot of things coming to light. Like Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, you see you swimming naked or whatever. You're seeing more and more of those things. We got
Yeah.
I've lent some money in some bad situations. Not bad. People just aren't paying back, which is crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
that's one of my biggest frustrations. Like if you borrow money, pay your debts. Like it's
Totally.
really that simple, right? Investing into an entity as a business partner and borrowing money with a promise to pay back are two different things. If you borrow money and tell someone you're paying them back, pay your debts. Period. Point blank. It's that simple.
Totally.
But unfortunately, in today's world, like that's not always what's happening, and it's frustrating. But I agree with you. You want to continue to be there, but it's like how do you balance it?
Yeah. And I love teams, dude. That's the thing. Like you played ball, you win as a team.
Yep,
You win as a team. It's like so that's cultivating that and understanding that and growing that together. So fun, bro. Because celebrating with the team is also so fun. So
agreed. Sure.
bro, you've crushed. I'm literally am so excited to go re-listen to this episode because you dropped some like one-liner gems too that are just like freaking the successes are in the failures. Is that what you said? That I'm like, God, that's so good. So many of those though. So my last question is this: what is next for you, man? What is the outcome that you're now pursuing in your life? That
um,
next scary, crazy goal that you're gonna look back on one time and be like, man, that used to be fucking big to me. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal side, we're looking to grow the family. Don't have any kids yet, so God,
Mm,
be able to bring some kids into this world. And then on the business side, there's two kind of driving goals this year. One is to double the real estate portfolio. Right now it's
mm.
about 25, then 50, and then double it again next year. We'll be at 100. So $100 million is the number.
Let's
Uh,
go.
for now, obviously that'll change over time, but I always say it's like it's already done. Time just hasn't caught up yet. How do you condense, a
Mhm.
40-year process to 20 or 10 or 5 or 2 years, So it's like you play these different games in your head. So that's the journey that I'm on there. And then the other one is eyeballs. Eyeballs is currency. So social media, how do you
Mm.
get out, impact more, get more eyeballs, give help, so many opportunities come from that. So those are the two driving factors.
Sick, bro. So good. The family thing, bro. Man, prayers your way for all that kind of stuff. It's the best thing in the world. Brings so much vulnerability, but that means lots of love is all that means, man. It's
Agreed.
beautiful. Yeah,
I
it's
appreciate it.
beautiful. Man, thank you so much, Austin. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you first pursuing what you've pursued, overcoming what you've overcome, and sharing it, man, and sharing it. Like, I invite every single person on here, man. If I know you found value from this, go share this thing. Go follow Austin if you don't already. If you don't follow Austin, you're one of the few people in the freaking world who don't. He has quite the social media following. But man, go and learn from this dude live in person at the end of March here and actually learn to be in a room with people like this that will enhance your belief in yourself and what's possible in your abilities. And then not just enhance your belief, show you tactical things to go and execute on to do it, man. Those kind of things are invaluable. So I appreciate you, bro, for everything that you do.
100%, brother. Appreciate the opportunity, man. Love your energy. It was an honor.
Good. I appreciate that. Hey, and all y'all out there, go live always aloha. Peace.